Welcome to you all. I am Colleen Samuels, Interim Executive Director for DRMAC, and I'm so excited to welcome you to our September Regional Coordinating Council meeting. Today we have a few different speakers who will be presenting and sharing some resources for individuals with disabilities. First, we're going to start with some housekeeping items, do some introductions and updates, hear from a few community partners, and then close out with a chance to ask questions. Stephanie is going to get us started with some housekeeping.
All right, like Colleen said, I'm going to go over some Zoom functions with you just to make sure that we're all on the same page and can locate certain things. So if you want to mute and unmute yourself, you can click on the microphone button in the bottom left-hand corner of your Zoom window. Just to the right of that, you'll find a camera button, which allows you to turn your camera on and off. If you would like to access the chat, you can click on the speech bubble icon, which is in the bottom middle of your Zoom window. And lastly, if you would like to access the raise your hand function, you can click on it in the bottom right-hand corner. That little smiley face icon is where we're going to go. We will have all attendees muted unless called upon during the meeting, just to minimize background noise. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and type your name and organization in the chat, just so we can keep track of who's here. And as always, you can feel free to use the chat function as needed for questions or comments throughout the meeting. And you can also use the raise your hand function. So as we all know, there's no shortage of resources in our community, thanks to all of you. And we wanted to bring some of those resources to share with you today. So we have three presenters today. We have Corin Chatrup from Laredon, Steve Jimenez from the Developmental Disabilities Resource Center, and Rachel Wise from Developmental Pathways. Each speaker will present, and then we'll open the floor up for questions after each presentation. But before we get into that, we'd like to go around and let everyone introduce themselves. Just say your name, organization, and then your favorite season of the year. So I'll call everyone out by name, and if I miss anyone, Latoya will let me know. So I'll just go down the list here, and we will start with Andrea Suhaka.
Whoa, I'm always first. Andrea Suhaka, Chair of Transportation Solutions, Arapahoe County, the Arapahoe County LCC. And I'll tell you right now, summer is not my favorite season of the year. Probably
Fair enough.
Spring.
Fair enough. Thank you, Andrea. Next, I have Bob Epstein.
Yes, good afternoon all. Bob Epstein, I'm Vice Chair of DRMAC, board member of the United Veterans Committee of the Alliance Retired Americans, and also on the Legislative Committee for Colorado Center for Aging, and the United Veterans Committee. A few others.
Awesome, thanks, Bob. Next, on my list, I have Brenda Hermosillo, I think. Is that correct? Brenda, if you can hear me, you can unmute and just introduce yourself. All right. I don't have my Zoom window fully expanded, so I'll come back to you, Brenda. Next, I have Candace Moon.
You're muted, Candace. All right, thanks. So City Council Centennial, we did pass out the Get There Guide or from DRMAC at our District 1 meeting.
Awesome.
So we tried to get the word out to people so that they knew how to get around, and we did have a few people take the guide with them. So we have these meetings every other month, so we may actually get to the point where we can maybe have DRMAC representative come to our meeting, one of our district meetings, if that's possible.
It's possible.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Candace. That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm sure we would love to do that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And then what's your favorite season?
Oh, I love fall in Colorado. That was one of the reasons we moved here. Was to
Yeah.
have a real fall season because the weather changes and the colors come and it's so pretty and you have nice wind that blows everything around. It's doesn't blow my house down. But fall is my favorite season here.
Fall is a nice season. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Next, I have Jadwiga Brown.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jadwiga Brown, and I work for Blind and Low Vision Services. It's a part of Colorado Department of Labor and Employment. I'm a certified orientation and mobility specialist. And my favorite season, it's also fall. And all the reason that was just said, I second. I love fall.
Awesome, thank you. Next on my list, I have Chloe Grant.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chloe Grant. I work with Mobility for All as a community outreach and engagement specialist. Thanks for hosting the meeting.
Thanks, Chloe. And what's your favorite season of the year? We're just sharing.
Oh, yes, definitely. I came a little bit late. I think my favorite season is fall when you can like have a cozy sweater on, but it's not like super cold yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good season. Seems like we're fans of fall. All right, next I have Courtney Stryker.
Yes, hi everybody. I am Courtney Stryker. I'm the new division manager for Arapahoe County Senior Resources and Veteran Services. So this is my first time here, so thank you for having me. My favorite season, and I know it's controversial, but it's the Colorado native in me, is winter. It's so peaceful and beautiful, and if I could have it year round, I think I would.
Winter's it's a vibe. Thank you. Next I have Damian Rosenberg.
Hi, Damian Rosenberg. I'm with Pasco. We're a home health agency that's long been affiliated with DRMAC. I guess spring or fall, kind of interchangeably. Now it's fall, but in the spring it's spring. So
Awesome. Thank you for joining today.
Yep.
Next I have Jessica Viana Sanchez.
Yeah, thank you. I work with Chloe with Mobility for All in Boulder County, and my favorite season, I think spring, because I think there's something very beautiful about the days getting longer and, moving away from the cold little by little. So yeah, that would be my choice.
Awesome, thank you. Kelly Lawler.
Hi, Kelly Lawler. I am the event coordinator with the ARC Arapahoe, Douglas, and Elbert County. Sorry, we just experienced that. I'm getting used to the new name. My favorite holiday would also be fall. I can't wait for it to start. I'm already dressing in my flannels, just waiting for it to happen.
Same here. Awesome, thank you. Next is Christy Walsh.
Hi there, thank you. I'm Christy. I work in Jefferson County for Metro West Housing Solutions, or Lakewood Housing Authority, as a resident services coordinator. And I like to ski, so I like winter.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. Next is Melanie Ward.
Hello, I am Melanie Ward, and I work at the City of Centennial. I'm here supporting Councilmember Candace Moon. I like to be a contrarian, so I'll say that my favorite is spring, although I grew up in Florida, and so I'm always disappointed with how quickly the summer ends here.
Fair enough. Thank you. Next is Michelle Mahwane. Is that?
Majan.
Majan, okay.
Majan. Majan. En français, it means my young. I am with the Developmental Disabilities Resource Center, and my role is community relations. I'm the director of community relations for DDRC, and I'll have a chance to chat with some of you on some of the things that we do. I used to live many years ago in Chicago. So when I think about my favorite season, it's any season here in Colorado, because they're not like the seasons in Chicago, which are usually very humid and hot or very cold and windy. So I love them all. And fall probably is my favorite one, just because the air is magical.
Good reasoning. Thank you. Next is, let's see, Raphael Hoffman.
Yeah, hello, Raphael Hoffman with Laragon, and my favorite season is summer because I love to bike, and you can bike early in the morning.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you. Next is, oh, jumped up. T. Kirkpatrick. Excuse me, T. Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. Hello, everyone. My name is T. Kirkpatrick. I'm with the Broomfield Local Coordinating Council. And my favorite season, I believe, is winter for snowboarding.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you. Next is Rachel Walker.
Hi, everyone. Rachel Walker, Community Partnerships Manager here at Developmental Pathways. And I got to go with fall. You know, I think everyone's already listed the reasons why, but it's magical.
Yeah, I agree. And next is Corin Chetruth.
Lauren from the Laragon School, and I would say my favorite season is summer. I'm just always cold, so yeah, summer just keeps me warm.
All right, cool. Well, I think, did I miss anyone?
We have, I believe, Denise still, and then Kelly. I don't think we've introduced either one of them.
Okay, yes. Denise.
I'm Denise Gallegos. I'm the Day Center Manager at Senior Support Services. My favorite season would have to be spring.
Awesome, thank you. And then Latoya, who is the other?
Kelly Lawler.
Oh, we got Kelly.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes. Awesome, cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Now that everyone's gotten to say hello, seems like we're all fans of fall and spring. There weren't many summer fans, but we'd like to now give the DRMAC team a chance to see if we have any updates over on our end. So we'll start with Latoya.
Thanks, Stephanie. My name is Latoya Pranti. For those who don't know me, I am the program manager for the Getting Their Travel Training program. Currently, we have trained over 800 folks in almost 2 years for the Getting Their Travel Training, and we are winding up the end of the grant. So we're kind of putting everything together to make sure everything's done. And I'm also recruiting volunteers. So if there's anybody that wants to be part of our team and just help out in some fun, cool areas, please reach out to me. I will re-enter my email address in the chats. Otherwise, that's kind of where we're at. And I'll pass it back to you, Stephanie.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Latoya. So I'm Stephanie O'Neill. I'm the program manager of special projects here at DRMAC. As some of you may be already familiar with, DRMAC's Getting Their app and web tool. It's a free resource for transportation resources, just like our Getting There guide. And I just wanted to announce that we're in the process of expanding it to include more resources like housing and food assistance. The app will still primarily be geared towards providing transportation resources, but over the past year, we've sort of recognized that there's a desire for a little more resources through our information and assistance phone line. The extension will be live soon, so keep an eye out for updates on our social media, through our email and newsletter, and on our website. DRMAC will also continue to provide virtual travel training sessions, which I mentioned. So if you're interested in signing up for any of those, you can visit our website at drmac-co.org, and I'll paste that email and that website in the chat. And that's all I have. So I will hand it off to Lauren.
Thanks, Steph. Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Kurtz, and I am the Marketing and Outreach Coordinator at DRMAC. As some of you may know, we're in the process of kind of revamping our travel training program, and all of your input is very valuable to us. We sent out a brief survey, I think last week, just to gather your feedback about our current travel training model so that we can make sure that all of your wants and needs for that program are being met. So thank you to everyone who has already completed that survey. And then for those of you who maybe didn't get the survey and want to fill it out, I'm just going to drop that link in the chat so that everybody has an opportunity to fill it out. I also had the pleasure of helping out with our website revamp, and we're excited to finally announce that our new website is finally live. So I think Steph might have dropped the link to the website in the chat, but if not, I'll go ahead and do that as well so that you can all go ahead and check it out. Now over to you, Diana.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diana Castro, and I'm the Operations and Outreach Coordinator. This month of September, we are going to kick off our membership campaign. All the work that we do could not be possible without the support of members. So please go ahead and check out our new updated website for more details on membership. We do have 4 levels of membership, and those are business, organizational, individual, and associate. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to any of the staff. And thank you so much for being here today. Oh, and I wanted to add that fall is also my favorite season, so thank you. Tracy?
Thank you, Diana. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Tracy, the INA Administration Assistant. In most cases, I will be the voice you hear on the INA line, so please do not hesitate to give us a call or share our phone number at 303-243-3113. Thank you. Colleen?
Thank you, Tracy. I want to say that Dr. Mack is in the process of amping up our outreach. And I know I'm having a little microphone issue, so if you can't hear me, just let me know. I have to sit way back like this. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. So, Andrew, you still can't hear me?
Not very well.
Yeah.
We can hear you though.
Okay, I'm having technical difficulties, Andrea, sorry. But if you see us in the community, please stop by and say hi. If you would like for us to attend any of your community events or come to speak at your organizations, please just reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to. And we just thank you and appreciate you all being here today. I'll put my email address in the chat now if you are interested. And I'll pass it back to Lauren.
All right, thanks, Colleen. So we have a lot going on here, Dr. Mack, clearly. So I strongly encourage all of you to reach out to one of us if you're interested in anything that any of us are working on. Now I'm going to invite our first speaker of the day, Corin Chadu from Laridan, to take the floor. Corin?
Everybody, I'm Corin. So I work at the Laridan School. Laridan, the school is part of a bigger agency. You know, the Laridan includes like adult day program, residential, early childhood. But for the school, I am the transition coordinator. So I work with more so our 18 to 21-year-olds. And my main role at Laridan is to support our older youth that will be aging out. And I heard about Dr. Mack through one of the transition trainings because of the sequencing of services of including transportation, and to talk to teach kids about public transportation. And so that's how I got involved with Dr. Mack, and LaToya has been coming out and doing presentations for the school. So we're in our 2nd week. We just finished our 2nd week. But more about the Laridan School. So Laridan School is a facility school. And so we take students with IDD and a lot of times dual diagnosis from 17 different school districts. So when a school district cannot meet our students' needs, they may be referred out to a school like Laridan. And then we work on a lot of times with students with behaviors, and like I said, the IDD. And as they get older, come the 18 to 21, we just partnered with DVR. So we're working with our students getting jobs, or we work with our students transitioning into day programs, or if they want to go to college, looking at those types of options as well. And then also the main goal of the Layardon School is to get them back to their public school, because we're like one of the most restrictive environments, and we try to get them back into their least restrictive environment. That's really what I have to say about Layardon. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, actually I do, Corin. What are the time frames for the schooling? Like
What do
what's
you mean?
like when do they start and when do you guys close?
So we're just like a typical school, like August through June, but our ESY is a little bit longer. We go for typically, I think it's 6 weeks. So like it's kind of more like year round, but that we just have a really long ESY.
Is there a waiting list?
Yes, there is a waiting list, and then the way that students get referred to Layardon is like like we don't do like out like private. Usually the school districts would refer the students to us.
Thank you.
Hi, what do you mean by more restrictive than their public school? What is that?
So because we're a separate school, the students aren't in their like general education classrooms. They're more so typical peers. We're a school and we have students within the IDD population, dual diagnosis. So they're not around like their typical peers. So that's why we're the most restrictive environment. So we always try to get them back to their public school so they could be not only within their district and their community, so that they can learn that for when they transition out, but so they're around their peers as well.
Thank you.
And the question box is how many students use Dr. Mac services. So within the 2 years, we've had 3 classes do that, and our typical classroom size is about 7 students. So I would say about maybe like 21 students at the most went through Dr. Mac, the classes of getting their travel training.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Corin? And I just want to apologize also that we have a little typo on the screen with your last name. So I'm sorry for that, Corin. All right. Well, thank you, Corin. Like we've said, Dr. Mac recently partnered with Layardon to do some travel training. So it was great to hear everything that you had to share. And I guess if there aren't any other questions, we will go ahead and move on. So next up, we were going to have Steve Jimenez from the Developmental Disabilities Resource Center present, but Michelle, I don't see him on here today. Are you going to fill in for him?
Hi there. Yes, actually, I am here with Steve. We're in the room together, but he's muted, so you guys don't get an annoying echo. But I promise you, he's here and very interested, and will help to field any questions that relate more specifically to how our organization ties into your work. And I might just say off the top here that you know, DDRC in the past, I know that I myself helped to alert and invite members of our constituencies to a travel training that was done quite a while ago. And it was in the Jefferson County area. And I believe it was through your organization and also with the Jefferson County ARC of Jeffco, Gilpin, Clear Creek. And so we collaborated a little bit on that and helped to let people know that that was out there, and it's a wonderful service. But I'm going to try to share my screen. Can you all tell me, are you it says I cannot share the screen while another participant is sharing. So can I go ahead now and share my screen? And would somebody give me a thumbs up like you, Stephanie? Do you see my screen now?
Not right now, no.
All right, well, hang on here. I think that's it. Are you seeing it now?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay, terrific. I'm not sure if you see all this other stuff on the screen, but you can ignore that. Well, as I said, I'm Michelle Majan with DDRC, and I do the community relations for the Developmental Disability Resource Center. And as an organization, just kind of big picture is what I'm going to speak to, not all the nuts and bolts of how we tie into what you all are working so diligently on communication. But what we do is, in a nutshell, is help people of all ages, really from, birth to the end of their lives, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families fight for the life that they want and the life that they deserve. I'm going to see if I can advance my slide. Okay, there you go. So as you all who are very intimately involved with IDD services know, our organizations, all of us sort of have that shared idea and shared mission that we are an alternative to institutionalization. We happen to be a 501c3, and we were established in 1964 as a community-centered board serving multiple counties, but predominantly many of those that we serve are in Jefferson County. We were formed, as I said, to be an alternative to institutionalization, to create opportunities for people with disabilities. And one of the ways that we do that is advocating for policy, funding, and inclusion through the legislature, and to participate fully and be welcomed in the community in all areas of life. We serve more than, actually it's now almost 4,600 individuals and families. And so because we serve that many people and their families, often throughout their lifetime, we provide in any one year hundreds of thousands of hours of support for individuals and their families. And how do we do that? Well, we link people and their families to resources in the community. So there are other nonprofits and other resources that some of them are governmental, some of them are nonprofit, to help them find the best match that meets their unique needs. And we do that through our case management resource coordination arm. But we also provide many services directly, and really hundreds of hours of direct services in early intervention therapy, for example, homemaker services, respite care, personal care, behavioral health services, family support services, day programs, therapeutic recreation, which is both learning and sports and out in the community, transportation, which you are familiar with, our coordination with you and others. Residential opportunities, those could be anything from a group residential setting, individual apartments for more independent living, host home providers and coordinating with them, employment support, assistance with technology and tech devices, and really so much more. And I could, go a little bit more into the technical aspects of all of those, but I want to just tell a couple of stories, because I think sometimes stories really help you to understand the impact that is made. So I want to talk about a couple of the ways that we reach people. We have a therapeutic learning and recreation program, which is essentially learning opportunities, sports opportunities, and there we rely a lot on transportation to help people involved in those communities, involved in those programs, get out into the community. We do unified sports, and so sometimes those are through municipal leagues, and people that we serve, we help them to get to those municipal leagues and participate as a way to really be integrated in the community with others who don't have disabilities. We also have people participate in Special Olympics. Our therapeutic recreation is out in the community, anything from, doing parks to other kinds of experiences in the community. And the young woman that you see on the bottom right of the screen that has a DDRC shirt won her Special Olympics category of speed walking. And one of her quotes was, just the opportunity to do that helped me gain so much confidence. And so, that's one of the things that we try to do, is help people understand that they can participate and learn and grow. Another one of the programs that we have is our employment services. And I think there are some of you here who represent the Division of Employment or other employment components. But we have a full array of employment services coaches that work with individuals to help them understand their passions and their skills and what their aspirations are. And the story I have here is a story of a young man named Preston. And for many years, about 6 years, Preston was part of a segregated crew, meaning he was working. It was a segregated janitorial crew, and he was working only with people with disabilities. And of course, our goal is to get people more integrated into the community. And our employment services coaches worked with Preston to try to understand his skills. And in doing that, they learned that he had a real passion for cars. Then they took him to Advanced Auto Parts. And as soon as he walked in the door with his employment coach, he started pointing to all the things on the shelves and saying, oh, hey, this piece does this kind of thing. And if you need to fix this, you should buy that piece. And they knew immediately that he had all kinds of skills and knowledge and passion. And so they worked with him offline to do a resume, help him with preparing for interviews, and then lining up some of the interviews, and he eventually landed a job at Advanced Auto Parts. And he said that I always wanted to work in a car store, but I didn't think I would. I love working at Advanced Auto Parts, and I like working with my coworkers and making jokes. And his boss said, well, it's great to have Preston around. He's a really hard worker and will do anything you ask him. And we hope he has a long career with us. And he's cheerful and loves making jokes. So it's all about the job match. And that's where success comes from. Another story that relates both to employment and also to transportation and the impact of transportation is a story of a woman named Joanna. And Joanna is a woman that we serve with developmental disabilities. Excuse me, let me see if I can go back. She had a job at a movie theater, and during COVID, the movie theater was shut down and she lost her job. But she didn't let that stop her, because she had animals to take care of, and certainly herself also. So she found another job as a caretaker, and astoundingly took a bus 2 hours each day to her job in order to continue working so that she could care for herself and her pets. So certainly using the bus. So public transportation is a huge issue. And here's a person that really benefited from that. She dreamed of working with animals, and we have a program called Employment Gateway. And with our employment services coaches, she did an online resume, and now she kind of has a side hustle job doing pet walking as part of a way to supplement her income. And she does have a job back at the movie theater, but she's moving towards her goal of working with animals. Another story that I want to share, or actually a quote, was a gentleman that whose brother that we served for many years said his brother was approaching 70 years old, still learning, participating, and benefiting from being a member of DDRC, and couldn't have imagined his brother having longevity and quality of life. We provided residential, recreational, day program, case management, and many other services to that gentleman and his family. Finally, a story that I think is something that some of us here could relate to. Helen is an elderly woman whose adult child now happily resides in one of our DDRC group homes. And Helen said that she used to worry about what would happen to her daughter when Helen was no longer here in the world, and who would care for her daughter. But now that her daughter is in this group home and with support from DDRC, Helen has said she has what every parent wants, which is to know that when you leave this world, you have helped your child in the most meaningful way, and that you know your child, particularly your adult child, is secure. And certainly for our group homes, transportation is key, because for our group homes and some of our independent living, they will rely upon those services to get to the doctor, to engage in the community and other kinds of things. And my final story is about our early intervention services, which are services that we provide for children who are birth to age 3, which is a really critical window for brain development. A child's brain will essentially double in size in the first year of their life and grow to about 80% of the size of an adult brain by the time they're age 3. So you can imagine if you are intervening at that period of a child's life, if they have a developmental disability or a delay, that is a crucial time to really help them get to a point where they can most fulfill their potential. I'm going to read to you quickly a letter that was written to us by a mom whose child we served. And if I could just take a moment, I'm going to read this letter that she wrote to kind of explain the impact of early intervention services. On the day of his birth, our son suffered a stroke that destroyed nearly the entire left hemisphere of his brains, and our doctors grimly sat us down and explained that our baby boy had cerebral palsy, epilepsy, and a long list of related diagnoses, and predicted that our precious boy would probably never do many of the things that children do, including walking and talking. And the parents say they were devastated. They loved their son and wanted to give him the best possible chances of a quality, fulfilling life. And the mom says, we didn't even know where to start. But within weeks of coming home from the hospital, our family received a visit from DDRC, and they were a beacon of hope in what they felt was an overwhelming ocean of the unknown. The service coordinators quickly arranged for the little boy to begin physical therapy and vision therapy and creating manageable short-term goals. And the boy slowly began to make progress. And they said that the therapists were able to teach him, our son, to roll over, to bear weight on his affected arm, sit up. And despite his lack of visual field, he learned to play with toys with the help of the various therapists that came in. DDRC added occupational and speech therapies, and soon their son was able to tolerate solid foods. And the mom said, at 2.5, our sweet, happy toddler can now use functional vocabulary, climb the stairs, and take a few independent steps and feed himself. All these skills were patiently, intentionally taught by the team, DDRC's team of knowledgeable therapists. The mom writes, people often look at our son's MRI and say that his developmental progress was a miracle. And I believe that, the mom writes. However, the truth is that from the beginning, the miracle came in the form of hard work from both the parents and on the team of therapists, and the successful success that these therapists were able to bring to our son. And our son has a long road ahead of him, and it's an upward climb, but the foundation provided by DDRC's early intervention support has set our son on a path to success. And this is a picture of that boy years later with his early intervention team. Those are some of our staff people from DDRC's early intervention team. So it's really wonderful to see the impact that we can make. And I don't need to tell all of you, like, how can you fight for the life that people want, because you can hire somebody with an intellectual and developmental disability. You can volunteer and participate in our activities or any activities that you all do, which are aligned with many of our missions. And of course, donate to any of our nonprofit organizations. But most importantly, I always try to emphasize there's something we can each do that really doesn't cost us any time or money, and that is to welcome people with intellectual and developmental disabilities with a smile when you see them at the grocery store, if they're serving you at a restaurant, or if you see them when you drop your child off to school, or any number of other arenas where we have families participating. So with that, I wondered if there are any questions. Steve has informed me that, and he's here to help answer questions, but we have about 40 vehicles, and most of them are accessible vehicles, and we provide about 10,000 trips per year in our efforts to provide services. So I could try to answer any general questions, and Steve is here to answer questions that align more specifically with what you all do. And I might say I do a regular newsletter. It's once a month, and if there's travel training in our Jeffco area or whatever that you are partnering with others, and that's always free, I believe, because we want to make sure that we're promoting things that are free in the community. But if so, we would be open to and delighted to try to help our constituents understand where they could get that training. So with that, I'm open to questions, as well as going to rely on Steve here to jump into my camera and help answer questions. Any? Well, I either did a great job or not. But anyway, thank you so much for the opportunity to share a little bit about what we do in a very big picture way.
Michelle, I have a question.
Yeah.
Your trips that those 10,000 trips, are those just to like doctor's appointments, or are those to the groceries, or what are those limited to?
I'm going to let Steve jump in, but that's to the huge array of services that we provide. So it might be for a therapeutic recreation to get to that, unified sports, or to get to a site where Special Olympics is hosting a meet, or it might be to get to the library because we're going to be participating in a program at the library, or it might be, to any number of other community connections. It may be also to or for people who are in our residential settings who need particular services. So I'll ask Steve if he has anything, but it's actually fairly comprehensive. So I'm going to ask Steve to jump in too.
Yes, that includes our transportation. Yes, we do the medical appointments, adult day programs and daycares. It is an on-demand transportation. But yes, we cover all those different areas.
Fantastic, thank you. And I have a question now about the Special Olympics. How could the rest of us support, the athletes that are going to participate, the families? I've actually never attended an event like that. That would be great.
Yeah, well, as I said, we both do unified sports, which is also really wonderful, because the unified sports are where people with and without disability are shoulder to shoulder. And I think that's where you really get some wonderful understanding of needing to be accepting and how there's more in common than most people think. But with Special Olympics, I think I could connect you with Terry Holstrom at our DRC, Therapeutic Learning and Recreation, to see if there are activities that we do that we have trouble getting transportation for, or that we've not had an opportunity to connect in a certain way because we don't have adequate transportation perhaps at a particular point in time. So I'm not sure I can think of any special example where we've needed that, but I could certainly reach out and get back to you through Steve, if that answers your question.
Yes, and I actually have one more. I'm sorry. This was great information. With how many of the families that you serve are Spanish-speaking communities, or families that speak another language other than English?
I don't know about families that speak language other than English in terms of exact numbers, but we do, of course, have Spanish-speaking members of our community, and I would say they're not a great percentage, even though we, of course, as a community as a whole, across Colorado, have large pockets and large numbers of people that are Spanish speaking. They're not by any means the majority of the people that we serve, but we do have some families that we serve that are Spanish speaking. And particularly the families that are more in our early intervention and probably in our children and family services, those younger families.
Excellent, thank you.
I had a question. Do you do reverse services at all, like bringing the medications to your clients and things like that they need if they're not able to leave the home?
Well, we have a nursing staff, and I believe that nursing staff, however, is really more providing services to our group residential settings and potentially to our independent apartment settings. I'm not familiar that out of our, 4,600 families that we have many instances where we would bring medication to a family. I have to plead ignorance of whether that's a service that we currently do. So I don't think that is something that we're regularly doing, but I don't know whether or not in someone's plan, perhaps it's known that the family or that individual is facing some challenges and might need that support. So I don't know whether or not the Medicaid waiver would provide that avenue of support. I'm sorry.
Okay, Michelle, this is Bob. I have a question. On your transportation, is it restricted for certain mileage, etc.? Steve may know it's, or anywhere that that your client has a need, or the appointment, or whether it's medical or therapeutic or whatever.
Right. I'll let Steve address that. I mean, I know, for example, one of our activities, our service area currently includes up to Summit. And for example, this past winter, I know some folks said they loved, they love winter sports. Well, one of our programs took a group of people up to Frisco, and they were doing some tubing and some other activities. So, but whether or not they travel outside of that service area or out of state, I don't believe they do. And I'm going to let.
Well, not out of state. They're within Colorado.
Yeah, I'm going to let Steve address that.
Your service area or outside your service area.
We stay within our service area, which includes Clear Creek, Gilpin, Summit, and Jefferson County. We start the trips all within those counties, and with some exceptions, we'll travel outside of that on a case-by-case basis. And persons we serve are seniors and individuals with intellectual disabilities.
Okay. Now, I have one other question. Do you collaborate or coordinate with other similar organizations in other counties like Arapahoe or Douglas or whatever?
Transportation lane. I'm going to give an example, and then I'll let Steve give an example that's transportation related. Well, and I have an example I gave to you at the beginning that's transportation related. Yes, there was some type of travel, travel training that was conducted in Jeffco a couple, I think it was more than a year and a half ago. And so our collaboration was, we knew that was being promoted in part through the ARC of Jefferson Clear Creek. And so we collaborated by making sure that we also, made our constituents aware. We do a lot of collaboration across many other nonprofit groups and others, because that's sort of the name of the game in terms of improving the bottom line for the people that we serve. So to the extent that we can do that, we do. Another example of our work with ARC of Jefferson Clear Creek, Gilpin, and Stride Community, which is a health organization, was during the height of COVID. Our three organizations teamed up together and did a special COVID health clinic that was actually very nicely hosted through the RTD site at Wadsworth, their main one of their main sites where they have both rail and bus. And so we were able to use the garage there and hosted a huge COVID clinic about a year and a half ago. So, those are just two examples, but we do a lot of collaboration with different types of organizations.
Good. Thank you.
And I don't know if Steve has any other examples, or if you were looking for something very much more transportation oriented.
No, I was also looking for service oriented. Since they did away with the Governor's Advisory Council for Persons with Disability, which I was in, a lot of that information has gone asunder. And
Right.
So, CCDC is one example where we can get some information, but you sound like you can really collaborate with somebody else and that have that information to perform. So thank you, Michelle and Steve. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
And I see one more question in the chat from Jessica. She asked, do you know if the people or families who use your services are encouraged to use Access-a-Ride or VIA services to travel where they need to go? That might be a question.
Yes, just because our van services are maybe not operating at all times, and yes, people are made aware that those are resources, important resources that are out there. I know that Access-a-Ride pulls up in front of several of our DDRC facilities. We have a main administration building. Then there are 2 other schools, out of which they're actually old school buildings, but they're really our facilities. And we often have people who need to get to those programs being offered at those facility sites, and they may also use Access-a-Ride. And we have people who are here at our DDRC main building, including a woman that we employ, and she uses Access-a-Ride to get to our facility, our main office.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit, and I look forward to hearing more from Steve, and maybe as their time moves on, if there are other travel training or whatever that might be useful for our constituents to hear about, we would be happy to try to share the word. And I'll probably jump off, but Steve is going to stay on the call.
Yeah, we'll definitely be in touch with you about our travel training and getting you that information. And I just want to say thank you for sharing all those personal stories. I think it gave us all really good insight into all the great work that you are doing over there. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and thank you for your support to DDRC and your interest in the things that we're doing.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. So now I think we will move on to our last presentation of the day. So last but not least, we have Rachel Walker from Developmental Pathways. And Rachel, the floor is all yours.
Perfect. I would also love to share my screen if I could. Thanks.
You
so
got
much.
it, all yours.
Perfect. And hopefully that came through. Can you guys see it all right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I know there's a lot of familiar faces on this call, or at least familiar organizations to developmental pathways. So I'm going to try to be very brief. We're kind of a counterpart to DDRC in Jefferson County. So a lot of the things that Michelle was sharing, you can find at developmental pathways. So I think it was Robert that had a question about Arapahoe County, and that would be us. So I'll go through who we serve and how we serve them. I'm going to do a little nitty gritty into some of the programs. So hopefully it'll be a slightly different lens than Michelle's, but oh my gosh, Michelle, I loved hearing your stories. And I'm going to start incorporating some of our own stories into our presentation. And I also have to say a special hi to Steve Jimenez, because he and I know each other from a few years ago. And it made me excited to actually see him again. Funnily enough, my husband was asking what you were doing lately, and it's wonderful to see that familiar face. So I'm Rachel Walker. I'm from Developmental Pathways. I'm the Community Partnerships Manager here. I've been at Developmental Pathways for almost 14 years. So I've done most of my work in early intervention and then shifted into this more outreach community centered work. So I'm really excited to be sharing with you about Developmental Pathways. I'm hoping it changed screens for you guys and that you're seeing the PowerPoint screen. Okay, see some nuts, perfect. Well, today I'm going to talk really quickly about Developmental Pathways, the programs we offer, the community engagement team, which is the team that I'm on, and then open it up for questions. So Developmental Pathways, just like DDRC, is a community center board. And if you're not familiar with that term, that means that in the state of Colorado, services for folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities get assigned to a nonprofit. And those nonprofits are designated as community center boards. We're a case management agency. We provide case management supports based on all the programs that we offer, and we connect folks to the services that they're eligible eligible for. So developmental pathways serves Arapahoe, Douglas, Elbert counties, and city of Aurora. So that's our catchment area for you, Robert, that was wondering about Arapahoe County. That's your kind of come to developmental pathways. City of Aurora is kind of an interesting distinction because it has some parts that go into, you're welcome, Robert. You have some parts that go into Adams County as well. So that's why we make sure to call out City of Aurora. You can see our mission on screen here. I'm not going to read it off to you for sake of time today, but truly we're just like DDRC, where our mission is to really enrich the lives of folks that have IDD. For those who might not be aware, but like I said, I saw a lot of familiar faces on this call. This is the definition of IDD by state of Colorado. So this is who we're serving, someone that had a diagnosis before the age of 22. So it's not something that you're born with. It's an intellectual or developmental disability related condition. Some of the common ones are like autism or Down syndrome. We're also pairing that with certain amount of testing. So IQ testing and adaptive testing. That adaptive testing is how they function through daily living activities. So how independent they are through day-to-day activities. And then for children who are under the age of 5, they can qualify for delay. So this definition, I can send out this PowerPoint, so I know I'm going to fly through this really quickly, if in case that would be helpful for you guys to have this definition handy for future reference. These are the programs that are available at Developmental Pathways, and these are going to mirror some of the same ones Michelle was talking about, but I'm going to break them down by program, and we're going to start at the beginning. So we're going to start at early intervention, that's 0 to 3 years old, and then move all our way through adult senior services. We serve everything in between. We serve the life spectrum. If there's someone in our catchment area who has an intellectual or developmental disability, we've got a program for them. So early intervention, we covered a little bit, and Michelle so beautifully illustrated the importance of early intervention and starting services early for those that have a suspected developmental delay or actual disability that's been diagnosed. This program is available from 0 to 3 years old, and this is the program at a glance. So we connect families with their therapies, and they also get a service coordinator. So every program comes with a service coordinator or a case manager that's really going to support them throughout the life of the program and connect them with all those services. Just like any program at Developmental Pathways, there's no cost to families. These are all state, federal, local funded services. So we're just urging anyone that knows of someone with a 0 to 3 year old that there's concerns about it, about their development, to make a referral. Services are family driven and also in the natural environment. So that's anywhere a child is on a regular basis. That could be home, daycare, grandma's house, the pool down the street, anywhere that child is regularly. These are the children's services that are available at Developmental Pathways that are not Medicaid funded services. So there is a distinction there to just point out that there's services that don't necessarily operate through Medicaid, but are through local and state monies. The first is our community outreach waitlist services program. This program is for all folks who qualify. So if they're under the age of 4 and they have a delay, under the age of 5 with a delay, over the age of 5 with that IDD criteria, they're going to get a coordinator in this program that's going to connect them with resources and funding. And then there's the extras. We offer extra supports in this program, including newsletter, events, discounted programs, something like, let's say, adaptive therapeutic rec could be like a discounted program that we would support families through in this program. I will say this program is unique to Developmental Pathways. This is how we're using our local county dollars to fund this program. So you might not find this at every community center board. Another program we offer is family support services. This is going to look very similar to community outreach, where they get a coordinator, they get individualized supports, they get connected to funding and services. One thing to point out that there's only 2 programs at Developmental Pathways that have a wait list. I know a wait list question was brought up earlier, and this is one of 2. This wait list is prioritized based on need. So families fill out a most in need form, and then based on how they score, they move up and down this wait list. There's a little trick to the system, though, that if you're waiting on this program, you can be enrolled in community outreach. So there's another option, and we're helping families really navigate which programs they're eligible for and plugging them into what makes sense to their support needs right now. So we're going to dive a little bit into Medicaid waivers, which is might be where folks on this call interact with developmental pathways the most. Medicaid waivers are available for all ages. There are several in the state of Colorado. There are 10 in the state of Colorado. So I will say we're only going to talk about 4 today, but there's another 6 that are not available through developmental pathways that are available through another case management agency. So if you have folks with a disability or extra needs that don't fit into these criteria, please reach out. You can reach out to us. You can reach out to your state level entity to figure out how to get those folks referred and connected to services. I'm not sure if you guys know how Medicaid benefits are allocated in the state of Colorado, but I thought I'd include this little slide here. Most folks know state general plan Medicaid. So that's the Medicaid that is usually based on income. That's the Medicaid most folks are familiar with. As you move up, there are levels of benefits that are available based on your level of need. Are Medicaid waivers. And those, like I said, are the waivers that are offered through an entity like Developmental Pathways or another case management agency. These are the highest need folks that are accessing these Medicaid benefits. If you're eligible, I should say, for one of those tiers, you're eligible for everything underneath that. So if you're eligible for a Medicaid waiver, you're also eligible for long-term care as well as state general plan Medicaid benefits. These are the 4 Medicaid waivers that are available in the state of Colorado. So I am not going to go through each of these entirely. That's a separate presentation in its entirety. But there are 2 available for children and 2 available for adults. So just know whoever you're working with, and if they have an IDD, we can plug them into one of these waivers. I will point out that DD waiver has a wait list. So that's the other program at Developmental Pathways that has a wait list, but you can plug into the other adult waiver while you're waiting for the DD waiver wait list. This is just a quick example of the services that are available through Medicaid waivers. It's just a little snapshot for you. I'm not going to go through each because that would take some time. And also Michelle did a beautiful job highlighting some of the key ones that our folks access. But they're available for children and adults. This is just kind of a snippet of what's available, and you guys can get a better sense if you want to after looking through the PowerPoint. The other work that we do is through community engagement, and that's through my department. I'm going to touch on this really quickly. We support our families in addition to the programs that they receive with these other resources. So we're doing things like today, we're presenting to potential referrals, to potential community partners, building those relationships. We provide a lot of resources that go beyond their IDD services. We're doing education and training. We're holding monthly, if not bi-monthly, parent and caregiver trainings that anyone's welcome to attend. We're providing communication in the form of a newsletter. Our newsletter comes out every week or every other week, and it's just chock full of great local resources and current events that we know about. And then we're also hosting events for our community. So it's important for us to engage our community and our family to really align with our mission that goes just beyond the services that they're getting. We also support the providers doing the work. So in addition to our families, individuals in services, we're supporting those providers who are doing the work. And we do that a variety of ways, and I've listed them here. A lot of those are funding. So if our providers can request funding through developmental pathways if they need that additional support. So as a case management agency, we are the ones that are connecting folks to their providers, and a lot of the providers that we're serving, even if they're non-Medicaid providers, can make a request through us. And I whizzed through that as fast as possible because I know we're a little short on time, but this is the final screen, and it just captures the information on where and how to make a referral to us, and as well as my information. I'm happy to answer that for everyone. And I saw a couple chats come through. Any questions for me?
I kind of have a question. My mom works in early intervention, so I'm from Washington. She's in Washington, so I'm just curious what your guys' referrals, like, have they been coming in like crazy? I know that it's been crazy where I'm from, where she works. So I'm just wondering if you guys have a bunch of referrals that have been coming in lately here.
Oh gosh, yes. I know on average we get about 75 referrals a week for early intervention.
Wow.
We also have a very dense population that Developmental Pathways is serving, and a growing one. So like, you know, there's several 100,000 person communities that are coming to Arapahoe and Douglas counties, and they're all suburban, and what draws suburban families in, it's just like those young families. So we're getting lots of referrals from them. So yeah, we're receiving several hundred a month, I would say.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions for Rachel before we wrap it up?
I will also point out on our website, and I can post it in the chat, we did a whole series on how to be a safe rider for folks who have IDD. So it's a video series, and it allows them to really understand their different transportation options, and then how to access those transportation options in a safe and productive way. So I can post the link. So if you guys know of anyone with IDD, they're welcome to peruse those videos.
Yeah, that's a great resource for us to have too, you know. We need some extra resources to hand out. So, all right, well, if we don't have any other questions, I think we're gonna start to wrap up our meeting. So thank you all again for presenting today. We really appreciate having you here and sharing with us all of your resources. So that just about brings us to the end of our meeting. But before we wrap up, I just want to open up the floor one more time for any questions for any of the DRMAC staff or any of our presenters. So one last call for questions. All right, well, I think I'm just going to pass it back to Colleen so she can wrap up the meeting for us. So, Colleen?
Excellent. That's about all we have for you all today. I want to thank you again for your continued support of DRMAC, and a special thank you to our presenters. We are looking forward to seeing you at our next DRMAC Transportation Options Workshop next month, and that's Tuesday, October 4th. Thank you all, and we'll see you next month.